Hello friends. In last episode we have started chapter 26 Governor from Indian Polity by M. Lakshmikant. So now we are going to see rest part from the chapter. Conditions of Governor's Office. Our constitution lays down some conditions for the Governor's Office. So let's see what are these conditions. First, he should not be a member of either house of the parliament or a house of the state legislature. Okay, so person should not be a member of either house of parliament or a house of state legislature. If any such person is appointed as governor, he is deemed or he is considered to be vacated his seat in that house on the date on which he enters upon his office as the governor. Second, he should not hold any other office of profit. Here term office of profit is important. So what is exactly meaning of office of profit? An office of profit means a position that brings to the person holding it some financial gain or advantage or benefit. It may be an office or place of profit if it carries some remuneration, financial advantage or benefit, etc. So clear it? Yes, he should not hold any other office of profit. Then third, he is entitled without payment of rent to the use of his official residence, which is called as the Raj Bhavan. Okay, so he should not pay rent to his official residence, Raj Bhavan. He is entitled to such emoluments, allowances and privileges as may be determined by the parliament. So governor's emoluments, allowances and privileges are determined by parliament. When the same person is appointed as the governor of two or more states, the emoluments and allowances payable to him are shared by the states in such proportion as determined by the president. So in above condition, we have seen that emoluments, allowances and privileges are determined by the parliament. Okay, and here if the same person is appointed as the governor of two or more states, the emoluments and allowances payable to him are shared by the states. Okay, shared by the state, and these they are shared by the states in such proportion, and proportion is determined by the president. Okay, then 6, his emoluments and allowances cannot be diminished during his term of office. Very important. His emoluments and allowances cannot be diminished or cannot be changed during his office. In 2008, the parliament has increased the salary of governor from 36,000 to 1.10 lakh, and now the current salary of governors of any state is 3,50,000. Okay. Like the president, the governor is also entitled to a number of privileges and immunities. So governor has a number of privileges and immunities like president. He enjoys personal immunity from legal liability for his official acts. Okay, so during his term of office, he is immune from any from any criminal proceedings, even in respect of his personal acts. He cannot be arrested or imprisoned. However, after giving 2 months' notice, civil proceedings can be instituted against him during his term of office in respect of his personal acts. Okay, civil proceedings can be instituted against him during his term of office in respect of his personal act. Before entering upon his office, the governor has to take oath, and that oath is like to faithfully execute the office, to preserve, protect, and defend the constitution and the law, and to devote himself to the service and well-being of the people of the state. The oath of office to the governor is administered by the chief minister of the concerned state high court, and in his absence, in the absence of chief justice of state high court, the senior most judge of that court available or gives oath to governor. Okay. Term of governor's office. A governor holds office for a term of 5 years from the date on which he enters upon his office. However, this term of 5 years is subject to the pleasure of the president. So it depends on the pleasure of the president. He can resign at any time by addressing a resignation letter to the president. So when governor resigns, he addresses his resignation letter to the president. The Supreme Court held that the pleasure of the president is not justifiable, means not reasonable. The governor has no security of tenure and no fixed term of office. He may be removed by the president at any time because of political reasons. Okay, and it has happened many times in India, in many cases, because of political reason. When one party is in power in parliament, or new party comes in power at the center, then the central government asked governors of particular states where their party, where central government's own party is not ruling or is not in power, then they asked that particular state's governor to resign. For example, before that, actually the constitution does not lay down any grounds upon which a governor may be removed by the president. Hence the National Front government headed by VP Singh 1989 asked all the governors to resign as they were appointed by the Congress government. Eventually some of the governors were replaced and some were allowed to continue. The same thing was repeated in 1991 when the Congress government headed by P.V. Narasimha Rao changed 14 governors appointed by the VP Singh and Chandrasekhar governments. Okay, so this is the condition of Indian politics. Okay, and very unfortunate, but it happens. The president may transfer a governor appointed to one state to another state for the rest of the time. Okay, so president can transfer governor from one state to another. Further, a governor can a governor whose term has expired may be reappointed in the same state or any other state. So he can reappoint in the same state or any other state. A governor can hold office beyond his term of 5 years until his successor assumes charge. The underlying idea is that there must be a governor in the state and there cannot be an interregnum. Okay, the president can make such provision as he thinks fit for the discharge of the functions of the governor in any contingency not provided for in the constitution. For example, the death of a sitting governor. Okay, if sitting governor is died, then the post of governor should not have vacant. So in that case, Chief Justice of the concerned state high court may be appointed temporarily to discharge the functions of the governor of that state. Okay, Now, powers and functions of governor. Governor has governor possesses executive, legislative, financial, and judicial powers, more or less analogous to the President of India. However, he has no diplomatic, military, or emergency powers like the President. So, let's see what are the powers given to governor. Executive powers. First, all executive actions of the government of a state are formally taken in his name. Okay, because he is a head of state. Governor is the head of the state and chief minister is the head of the government. He can make rules specifying the manner in which the orders and other instruments made and executed in his name shall be authenticated. He can make rules for a more convenient transaction of the business of the state government and for the allocation among the ministers of the said business. He appoints chief minister and other ministers. They also hold office during his pleasure. So, as a governor holds his office during pleasure of president, here the chief minister and other ministers hold office during governor's pleasure. Okay, and governor appoints chief minister and other ministers. There should be a tribal welfare ministers in the states of Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh and Odisha appointed by governor. He appoints the Advocate General of a state and determines his remuneration. The Advocate General holds office during the pleasure of the governor. He appoints the State Election Commissioner and determines his condition of service and tenure of office. However, the State Election Commissioner can be removed only in like manner and on the like grounds as a judge of a High Court. He appoints the chairman and members of the State Public Service Commission. However, they can be removed only by the president and not by a governor. So, very important point that he appoints chairman and members of the State Public Service Commission, but they can be removed only by the president and not by a governor. He can seek any information relating to the administration of the affairs of the state and proposals for legislation from the chief minister. Okay, so he can seek any information at any time from the chief minister. He can require the chief minister to submit for the consideration of the council of ministers any manner on which a decision has been taken by a minister but which has not been considered by the council. Okay, then he can recommend the imposition of constitutional emergency in a state to the president. So, regarding constitutional emergency, governor can recommend to the president. During the period of president's rule in a state, the governor enjoys extensive executive powers as an agent of the president. Governor is an agent of president, agent of the central government. So, he enjoys extensive executive power during presidential rule in a state. He acts as the chancellor of universities in the state. He also appoints the VCs or vice chancellors of universities in the state. Now, legislative powers of the governor. Governor is an integral part of the state legislature. Statement may become. Statement, I think already commission has asked, okay, question on this statement. Governor, whether governor is an integral part of state legislature or not. So, he can summon or prorogue the state legislature and dissolve the state legislative assembly. So, what is the meaning of summon, prorogue and other terms we must know? Okay. So, summon means authoritatively or urgently call on someone or something to be present. Okay, so he can call the state legislature, or prorogue means discontinue a session of a state legislature assembly without dissolving it. Okay, so see the difference between summon, prorogue, and what is dissolve means state assembly completely dissolve, and summon means he just call for the session of state legislature. Okay, and prorogue means he call for discontinue a session of state legislature. He can address the state legislature at the commencement of the first session after each general election and the first session of each year. He can send messages to the house or houses on the of the state legislature with respect to a bill pending in the legislature or otherwise. He can appoint any member of the state legislative assembly to preside over its proceedings when the offices of both the speaker and the deputy speaker fall vacant. Similarly, he can appoint any member of state legislature council to preside over its proceedings when the offices of both chairman and deputy chairman fall vacant. He nominates 1/6 of the members of the state legislative council from amongst persons having special knowledge or practical experiences of literature, science, art, cooperative movement, and social service. So remember, 1/6 nominate 1/6 member of the state legislative council. Okay, remember, nominates by governor amongst persons having special knowledge or practical experience in literature, science, art, cooperative movement, and social service. He can nominate one member to the state legislature assembly from the Anglo-Indian community. Okay, if their representation, if there are a population of Anglo-Indian community, they should give presentation there, representative of their community. Okay, so governor can nominate one member to the state legislative assembly from the Anglo-Indian committee. He decides on the question of disqualification of members of the state legislature in consultation with the election commission. Important point. When a bill is sent to governor after it is passed by the state legislature, what actions he can take: give his assent to the bill, or withhold his assent to the bill, or return the bill if it is not money bill for reconsideration of the state legislature. However, if the bill is passed again by the state legislature with or without amendments, the governor has to give his assent to the bills. Means, if the bill returns for reconsideration of the state legislature and again state legislature passed this bill and sent to governor, then governor has to give his assent to the bill or reserve the bill for the consideration of the president. In one case, such reservation is obligatory, that is where the bill passed by the state legislature endangers the position of the state high court. Okay, so when there is a endangers the position of state high court is in danger, then reservation of the bill is obligatory. In addition, the governor can also reserve the bill if it is of the nature like ultra vires, that is against the provisions of the constitution, if bill opposed to the directive principles of state policy, if bill is against the larger interest of the country, if bill is against if bill is of grave national importance, and if bill is dealing with compulsory acquisition of property under Article 31A of the Constitution. He can promulgate ordinances when the state legislature is not in session, Ordinances must be approved by the state legislature within 6 weeks from its reassembly. Okay. He can also withdraw an ordinance anytime. This is the most important legislative power of the governor. Remember, he lays the reports of the State Finance Commission, the State Public Service Commission, and the Comptroller and Auditor General, that is CAG, relating to the accounts of the state before the state legislature. Now, financial powers. He sees that the annual financial statement or state budget is laid before the state legislature. Money bill can be introduced in the state legislature only with his prior recommendation, like president's prior recommendation needed to introduce money bill in parliament. No demand for a grant can be made except on his recommendation. So, demand for a grant needs his recommendation. He can make advances out of the contingency fund of the state to meet any unforeseen expenditure. He constitutes a finance commission after every 5 years to review the financial position of the panchayats and the municipalities. And now, judicial powers of the governor. He can grant pardons, reprieves, respites, and remissions of punishment, or suspend, remit, and commute the sentence of any person convicted of any offence against any law relating to a matter to which the executive power of the state extends. So, let's see what is the meaning of these words. Okay. So, pardon. He can give pardons. Pardon means forgive a person for an office. So, he can forgive a person for his for an office. He reprieves means he can cancel or postpone the punishment of someone of any offense. Someone who convicted of any offense. Then respite. Respite means postpone a sentence. Okay. Then postpone a sentence means if he has given death statement, or he has lifetime sentence. Okay. So he can decrease it, or he can give some concession, not concession actually. He postponed his punishment actually. Okay. Then remission. Remission means cancellation of charges. The charges on someone convicted of any offense get cancelled. Okay, because of his permission, or he grant permission. He grant remissions. Then suspend means temporarily prevent or temporarily stop. Okay. Remit means cancel. Okay. And commute means reduce the sentence to one less severe punishment. Okay. To severe punishment reduced to less severe. Okay. It is he is consulted by the president while appointing the judges of the concerned state high court. Then he makes appointments, postings, and promotions of the district judges in consultation with the state high court. He also appoints persons to the judicial service of the state other than district judges. Okay. In consultation with the state high court and the state public service commission. Now, okay, the rest of the part we'll see in next episode. So it will be easy for you to understand and remember topics or provisions. So thank you very much. Good night.